Hello there strategy gamers. In this video I am going to be explaining how trade works in Stellaris 2.2. So we've got the big update since Stellaris Megacorp DLC was released earlier this month, and a lot of features in it are not really explained that well in the game itself. So you've got to go to wiki and you've got to go to the forums to read up on how the features actually work. So in this video specifically I wanted to talk about trade, because trade is something that is not very obvious in the game itself, because it's a little bit hidden. So I've got my human faction Iron Man game actually loaded up here. My faction's called Wayland Yutani. I don't know if that's the correct spelling. I think it's W-E-Y. But anyway, if you hover over the energy credits portion of your UI over here, you will see there's two types of trade. One is just above consumed. There is monthly trades, making 26 of that, and another part which says trade 59.04. So these are two separate things. If I click on the energy credits itself, it opens this market screen. So the market is something that is new in 2.2. Currently there is actually a galactic market. So the galactic market is something that happens somewhere mid-game to late game. So one of the factions, or maybe it's your faction, discovers the galactic market and you or that faction becomes the market leader. Before this happens, there is actually an internal market. You can use it to buy resources or sell off surplus resources to gain energy credits. It's not actually automatic, even though it says here monthly trades. It says automatic trades here. What it means by automatic here is that it automatically trades each month this amount. So I make a surplus of alloy here. I make a surplus of alloy, so I am actually selling off 20 for I don't know how much exactly. You can set the minimum how much you want to spend. If I hover around here, I can get an idea of how much it's buying and selling. You can see that the unit price is actually 0.72 for buying, and for selling is 0.72. There's also a market fee once the galactic market, I believe, has been formed, which you have to pay for. So this is actually 0.72 is with the market fee. So the market leader actually gets a huge advantage here. So the market leader has the galactic marketplace in the factions space, and they get a discount on the market fee, plus they get some bonus trade value as well. So what I'm going to focus on is trade value, because that's the gist of the trade system in Stellaris 2.2. So how do we see the trade value that you're generating, right? It's not in any of these menus, which I find really weird. If you don't really play around with the map mode, you'll never find that trade value. But the trade value is right here. It's under trade route map mode. If you click on it, you'll get a little menu pop up here, and there's a bunch of lines here which you can't see because I just need to disable hyperlane map mode. Now you can see clearly I'm getting trade from two places here. Incoming trade routes here from Vokon and Nizatorom. The basic of trade routes is that all trade ends up in your empire capital. So you have a trade value being generated around the region of Nizatorom Prime and Vokon. The total value that is being passed down will be passed down through this trade route. The trade route is basically the shortest distance to your empire capital, and it sends that value to the empire capital, and the empire at your empire capital starbase, that value is converted into energy credit. So if you hover over the trade value here, it says there's a total of 109.5. Some of it is collected by routes and some of them are collected nearby. So basically trade is done all on star bases, right? I mean star base, not outpost. So the first star base that you build is usually an outpost, so you need to upgrade it. So once you upgrade it, it creates a new trade route from that location to your empire capital. For instance here, if I look at my Earth solar system, or I call it Sun here, in this solar system itself, it has 62 trade value, but I'm also taking trade value from Sirius here. Sirius, if I hover over this little box here, it says 21 is collected by the Sun Trade Hub. So basically once you build a, if I look at the my star base or starport at Sun, I actually have a trade hub module, and it says right there collection range +1. If you don't have this module, I won't be able to collect the trade value from Sirius. Sirius doesn't have a starport, basically it has an outpost. So if I build a trade hub here, it collects from all the neighboring star systems, which are one hyperlane away. But you might notice here that Alpha Centauri here has 22, but I'm not collecting anything from it, because if I click on the hyperlane map mode here, you can see that Alpha Centauri is not one hyperlane away from Sun. So this is basically lost trade value here. Even though I have a colony here, I don't have a starport. If I click on here, you'll be able to see that this is just an outpost, not a starport. So if I want to collect Alpha Centauri's trade value, which is coming from this planet, I will have to upgrade my outpost to a starport. I will just click on upgrade here. I have enough alloy to do that. I have the game paused, so I don't think I'll be able to show you guys once the thing has been built. Once that is built, I will be collecting 22. Actually, that will generate another trade route. Actually, I'm not sure how it will, like 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. I think it'll go through. Oh, it can't. The thing is that the trade route has to be within your territory, so obviously it's going to go here, here and here. All right. So the other thing that's interesting here, if I look at the incoming trade routes here, this gives you a breakdown of how much you're actually getting from that trade route, right? So 100% of the trade value, which is like out of 23.1 from Wokon, I'm getting 100% of that trade value back at my empire capital. But if I look at Nizatorom here, it says 88% of it only out of that 22.5. So I'm losing that. It doesn't say how much I lost here, but if I click here, you can see that all the systems that the trade route goes through here, it's 2.5, 2.5, but I'm losing it right here at Satrinas. Over here, Satrinas, you can see that there's a skull and bones icon there that's red. It says that I am losing 0.27 from piracy. So piracy is another concept here that has been altered due to the new trade route system. So there's always piracy around, but there are two concepts here that you need to understand, which is protection, trade protection, and piracy suppression. So things like outposts and star bases and certain buildings in star base will give you a base protection or trade protection value, and this negates the effect of piracy. So for instance, like if I look at my trade route here, let me just disable the hyperlane mode so that it's easier to see. You can see that there's piracy along the trade route, but this is totally negated here because I have base protection +2. So my outpost is giving me base protection all along these parts. Every system now you have to build an outpost to claim that system, right? So you get a basic +2, which is not much later in the game actually, but for now it means that my trade routes are pretty safe actually, because the pirates are just 0.62. The max piracy is 0.62 at this system, so my base protection is +2, so that's bigger than that number, so there is no piracy happening here. But if I move along here, you can see 6.2. It's actually increasing as it goes closer here. I think it is. No, it's not. It's not increasing, is it? Current piracy, or the current piracy rate is increasing here, as you can see, but it goes to Satrinas here and I'm losing. It's not much, it's not significant enough for me to actually do something about it, but for the sake of this video, for this guide, I will actually explain to you how to solve this problem. Well, I could build a star base here with certain things here, like for instance, if I look at Wokon here. So as I said, your star bases will produce like base protection. On top of that, there are also things like gun battery and hangar base. These things will give you a trade protection +5, it's written there for the gun battery. So you could have modules, defense modules that actually give you a little bit of, it negates the effects of piracy around the system basically. So that's one way. And the other way is basically to use fleets. right? So I actually have created a military fleet called Trade Defender Fleet here, just for the purpose of defending my trade. What is it? What ships are this actually? Corvettes. I have 6 corvettes here. It's more than overkill for right now, but just for the sake of demonstration, I will show you guys how it works. You can actually create patrols now, right? So where is patrol? You don't need a leader for a trade patrol fleet actually. So fleet stands on this thing here, yeah, patrol. So what you need to do is, if I select my fleet and I say I want to go to work on like this, and if I click on patrol, what it does is that it goes all the way to work on and comes back here. So it patrols along this route. But in this case, piracy is only affecting me over here at Saturnius. So what that means is that I just need to place them in Saturnius, and that would actually suppress piracy there. And this is what you call as piracy suppression using your fleet. So I don't need to patrol, I just need to place them there. So there's 2 types. One is trade protection and piracy suppression using fleets. So now you have star bases sending trade value to your empire capital, right? So what exactly generates trade value which gets sent to your star bases, right? So if I look at Vocon over here, let me just show you. There's actually 3 things that generates trade value. One is your population in your planets, the other is certain jobs on your planet, and the other is actually asteroids, right? I think certain planets that you haven't colonized might also have trade value. I'm not so sure about this, but what I've seen so far are, let me just show you, are basically asteroids. If you look around my territory here, and you can see that cursor here has trade value here. I haven't actually colonized anything here. There's nothing to colonize here actually. But if I were to click on this, if I can click on it, so if I look at cursor here, these 2 asteroids actually create trade value. I guess it's sort of simulating their resources here which generate trade value. So if you have a starbase nearby here, it would collect that resource. A starbase in this system, which actually doesn't make sense, right? But if you have a starbase nearby and you have a trade hub, that would actually be able to collect that. But it's not really worth my time. So it's the same with Higma as well. This is basically what is this? It's asteroids, is it? No, it's not asteroids. Yeah, it's actually a gas giant. So yeah, not just asteroids create trade value. So yeah, planetary bodies can, and planets as well, certain planets can generate trade value. You don't actually need a colony or a starbase there, but you need starbase to collect it. So if I go back to over here, which is Wokon over here, and if you look at the planet which I have colonized, Wokon Prime, you can see that there's actually a trade value here. This is what this planet is generating. Just this planet, Wokon Prime, right, is generating this. So it gives you a breakdown of how much is being generated from POPs, 1.95, and how much is being generated from POP jobs, plus 14. And if I look at certain buildings here, you can see the planetary administration. It says here, executives produce unity, amenities, and trade value. Something to clarify here, it's not the buildings that generate the trade value itself, but it's the jobs. It's the jobs that have someone working at it that generates trade value. So if there's a vacant job, like, you're not generating trade value, right? So in this case, executives. So if I look at population here, rulers, there are 2 executives here. These executives actually generate plus 10 trade value, and workers here, they generate what is it, plus 8 trade values. So you can see that clerks are the ones that generate plus 4 trade values. They work in our city district. These guys are not happy actually, because they are not native to continental worlds. They prefer tomb worlds. I can actually, oh, these are actually enslaved population. Yeah, my Valen Yutani actually employs slaves, interestingly. So those are basically things that generate trade value. So trade value from your pops and the jobs on your planets, as well as planetary bodies and certain planets from your system, as well as your surrounding system, as long as you have the trade hub to extend the range of your starbase, will be collected at that starbase as sent down this trade route to your empire capital. That is basically how the trade mechanic works in Stellaris 2.2. It's actually getting a little close to how trade works in Europa Universalis 4, but it's not as complicated as that. It's actually quite simple, right? So yeah, the other thing, speaking about slaves, I forgot to mention about this. There's also if I look at the right here, the slave market, there's no slave for sale here, because I don't know any civilization that actually believes or is okay with slaves. So yeah, I can't sell. Can I sell slaves? Yeah, I guess I can sell slaves, but I don't want to do that. I need all the population I need. Oh wait, this tomb has overpopulation here. Anyway, that's my explanation. That's how trade mechanics work in Stellaris 2.2. I hope that I have been able to explain to you in the simplest possible way. I hope that you understand everything. If you don't, if you have more questions, ask me in the comments below. And if there's any other mechanic you'd want me to cover in maybe future videos on Stellaris 2.2, do share with me. Do tell me what you like to know about the new mechanics in 2.2 in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the support that you guys have given me. If you like this video, please do hit the like button below, and if you like the content I create, please do hit the subscribe button and do share this with your friends, because we really need more YouTube channels focused on strategy games. Because you know what, we love strategy games and there's just not enough YouTube channels out there focused on strategy games. So every little help is highly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.